Community Safety Board. The first item on today's agenda is the appointment of a chair for the Community Safety Board. Can I call for nominations?
Nominate the Vice Chair, Francis Murray. I got it right this time. I think I said McFarlane a couple of years ago.
And a seconder for that? Yeah. So that's, for those online, that's Kenny M. MacLeod. Are there any other nominations? Dr. Murray, you're chair of the Community Safety Board, and I'll hand the meeting over to you. Just to say, the appointment of vice chair will be tabled on the agenda for the next meeting. There will be a report going up to Comhairle to fill the 2 remaining vacancies on the board, and that will be considered in May.
Thank you very much, and welcome to this meeting of the Community Safety Board. The next item on the agenda is item 2, the minute of meeting of 29th January 2025, and that is for approval. Okay with that? Is everybody happy with that? Okay, we'll move on then to item number 3, which is the declaration of interest. Members are asked to declare any interests they have in any items of the agenda, and it would be helpful if members expressed why they're declaring an interest in the item concerned. So members in the chamber, please do so now by pressing your microphone, or if you're remotely through Teams, please use the raised hand function, and also ensure the declaration is repeated prior to the relevant item. Yeah, I see no hands raised or lights on, so we'll move on then to item number 4, civic government licensing. Taxi licensing review of fares, report by the Chief Executive. This report is to review the current level of fares for taxi and private hire car licensing in the Western Isles, and members are asked to determine whether or not to keep the existing level of taxi fares. Ian Smith is going to speak to the report and answer any questions. Yeah.
Hello, thanks, Chair. Yes, as you say, it's a report to review the current level of fares in the Western Isles. Before we carry out the review, we had to consult with operators of taxis and private hire in the Western Isles and consider any representations they've made. The COLA has carried out the initial consultation to all taxi operators who were consulted. And as you've said, members are invited to consider the responses, and if they want to keep the scale of maximum fares at the same level. And the COLA's proposal will have to be advertised formally, detailing the proposal, inviting representations. And with this, operators will also be written to again, and any representations received reported back. And so basically, this report is looking for the COLA to determine whether or not to keep the existing level of taxi fares as it is. Happy with any questions?
Thank you very much. Are there any questions, either in the chamber here or online? Councillor Malcolm MacDonald.
Yeah, given the percentages that they wish to raise it, how is it broken down? Is it due to wages, car maintenance, fuel, etc.? You know, how is it broken down, and how did they arrive at such a figure? Did they provide such details?
They did not, no. Well, one of the reasons is that in the previous taxi fares review, there was proposals put in by taxi and private hire operators saying this is the level of fare we want. Maybe not quite breakdown, like you say, with fuel costs or anything, but for this consultation, there wasn't actually much response. I don't know why, but and basically all we had was people who wanted to keep the fares at the same level and no one with any other proposals whether to increase or decrease. So, like I say, in previous reports, you had lots of proposals, but not for this one.
To come back in, Councillor MacDonald, you're okay with that? Anybody else? In that case, do members agree the recommendation at 3.1? Great. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Just to clarify, these fairs will have to be advertised now.
Yes.
So the second recommendation that is, in the event following advertisement that no relevant representations are received, to authorise the chief executive to implement the fairs as advertised. Obviously, if there are representations, it'll come back to the board.
That's correct.
Thank you for that clarification. We'll move on then to item number 4, antisocial behaviour. This is a draft antisocial behaviour consultation, a report by the Chief Social Work Officer. And this report provides an update on the draft antisocial behaviour strategy plan, and Fiona McInnes-Begg will speak to the report and answer any questions. Fiona.
Good afternoon, folks. We went out to consultation on the draft antisocial behaviour strategy and plan towards the end of March of this year. We decided we would go via community councils for a generic view, and we worked with a local member of the Scottish Youth Parliament in the North, Alana, to create the consultation basis for engaging with young people. Because of the time of year that it was, we would normally take a consultation like that through the schools, but we felt that it was going to be not helpful to do that, as it would, it would straddle the Easter period. So we did it online, and you'll see that we had 11 responses from community councils, and we had, I think it was 46 young people responded, which probably indicates that that was a fairly low response rate. However, we did get some interesting comments from both community council members and from young people. The suggestions being that, I mean, this is part one of the consultation, because obviously we'll need to go out wider to our partner organisations before we would be able to say that we had engaged with everyone who needed to be engaged with. So the suggestions coming in were that initially they didn't feel it was quite hit the mark, the draft strategy, and that there needed to be clearer targets in the action plan. So that was one of the first responses that we had. Young people obviously were able to identify what they felt antisocial behaviour was for them, which slightly, was slightly different than for the adults in the community. And the young people certainly felt that there needed to be more activities for young people in their communities. And that would make a difference in terms of creating friendships or overcoming adversities that they might have faced from their peers. Again, the majority of the responses from young people were from young people aged 16 to 19. I'm happy to take comments. I mean, I could keep going, but
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Can I open up to any questions or comments, Councillor Kyle MacLeod?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just I think it's previous meetings of this committee, we've had quite long discussions on the challenges and some of the potential solutions. So as you say, some interesting results from the survey and from the things. The young people wanting more activities, so that they obviously clearly see the need for something organised for them. But from the adult one, was it? I think it was something like 36% in the 46 to 55 age category needed partner agencies identified, and considered it vague. So it's quite a difference that the young people know or seem to know something that they want, whereas effectively the parental age group are looking at something different. But I do think we do need to work on this, because it's something that's coming up time and time again. And if what we're putting out is the parents and those involved are feeling vague, then I think we need to be looking at what actually they want, and try and identify partner agencies, because if we don't get this sorted, then the problem is going to last and going to cause us more and more problems in the years to come.
Thank you. Want to come back in on that, Fiona?
I would agree with you. I think what's sometimes difficult is that people maybe assume that there has been no work in this area, and so that we're starting from scratch. But actually, all our collective plans have a focus on behaviour in communities at one level or another. So maybe we just need to look at, through the CPP and the Children and Young People's Partnership Planning mechanisms, that we have, that we are agreeing the correct approach, or maybe just lifting and merging some of the targets from documents that already exist.
Thank you very much. Thanks, McBride.
Yeah, I was just thinking that actually it's more. I don't think it's not that we're not doing anything, but that age group, the 46 to 55 age group, maybe don't see and realise what is going on, and it's maybe sharing with them and making them realise that there are steps being taken, but that actually they themselves in that age group have to be part of it and partners within, and active partners, if the issue and the problem is going to be resolved. It's a community-wide issue, and the whole community needs to be involved in it, not just the formal agencies.
Thank you very much. I'm going to bring in Councillor Mustafa Hassin online.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Hang on. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm on. Sorry, I thought I was still mute. Yeah, I think it's similar to the point that Councillor MacLeod took. It's about the wider interpretation and the vagueness of the description, but also a point of the consultation itself being more or less in our area, I think, non-existent, because I mean, I know the community councils were supposed to respond. I mean, I had two community councils, Bernery and North Hughes, within that period, and none of them had it on their agenda. So it's important, I think, that we need to, when we say we're consulting, we need to consult properly, and we need to try to get the views. I think maybe consulting through the local members, as well, engage in that. I mean, I was having a meeting with some of my colleagues from HHP last week, and with one of the points I raised the question is that, have you considered, antisocial behavior order or anything? And the officer said, what's that? Does that still exist? So they didn't have any understanding themselves of that. So, okay.
Thank you, Councillor Hassin. No. Welcome, Councillor Malcolm MacDonald.
Thank you. Nothing stays the same. I think we should keep on top of this all the time, purely because things get better, and then we take our foot off the pedal, and the next thing we're in the ditch and troubles again. So ongoing consultation is a must for me. I mean, at the moment, I've heard in Stornoway North from people that were abused in the Westview Terrace, Kennedy Terrace area, that the children are very well behaved at the last 6 months, which is great to hear. But that can change, as they've been toddlers now, could be the troublemakers of the future. So that's all I would like to say, is keep our eye on what's happening.
Thank you very much. I wonder if I could ask a question myself. Was the level of response lower than you'd hoped? Well, going back a year or so, certainly the Stornoway councillors were very aware of this issue, and you would almost think that because of the heightened awareness of it, we would have had a bigger response. On the other hand, perhaps what Councillor MacDonald has said, if things are quieter, maybe people were less inclined to respond. But it does seem, I know some of these were collective responses, so maybe represented more people than it looks like on bare figures of 11. But it's quite a small response to extrapolate much from. I mean, the young people's one was obviously a bigger response, but again, maybe that is because it was online. And perhaps that demonstrates a different facility with an online survey between young people and other generations.
I would say that the response, having been involved in many consultations, then probably this was one that was a smaller return than we would normally have liked. However, we have to go with what we've got at this stage before we go back out to the next stage, which is with the partner agencies. So, I mean, there would be no reason. I mean, I think maybe the time of year as well that it happened was not the best time, as people were gearing up for going off on Easter holidays. So.
Thank you very much. Anybody else either in the chamber? Councillor MacLeod?
Yeah, just one quick one. Just from the community councils, 54% of the ones that responded felt the strategy wouldn't have a positive impact. Did they say why?
They had an opportunity to say why, and some did, but many didn't. Yeah. So I suppose this is the drawback from doing an online survey. You either get folk who are happy to, outline all of their concerns, or they tick a box and move on. And that's why you would always want to have a couple of other strands to your consultation operation. So you maybe do the online and then do follow-ups. We did ask the question whether or not individuals or community councils would want to continue with this strategy, or the progress of the strategy. Would they want to be involved in further discussion? And we had 2 responses to that. 2 individuals responded to that.
I think it's quite concerning that the community councils are the first formal level of representation from the communities, and less than a third of them have responded to what is a very important and concerning situation. I think maybe whether we use the formal community council routes to go through to them rather than just by email, just to get them to look at it properly on their agendas. As Mustafa said, that it should be on the agendas of all the community councils, and a formal response asked from all of them, because if they're not finding out what the communities want, and the elected members aren't getting that response as well, then it's a big hole in our information and all that we have to take the strategy forward.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Did I see Councillor Kenneth McLean putting his hand up there online? It flashed up.
The other councillor Kenneth covered what I was going to say, so it's okay.
Okay, you. So thanks very much, Kenneth. Thank you. Okay, any further contributions there? Councillor Ronald Fraser.
Yeah, just a quick question for Mr. McInnes. Do you think this is a fully comprehensive consultation, in your opinion, or should we look to or have another consultation in maybe 18 months' time, as an example?
Well, I think with antisocial behaviour, I think as we know, it's a cyclical thing that can affect many of our communities. So for me, consultation is an ongoing thing, and although you have to be aware of consultation fatigue, in communities, when you've got mechanisms that are there to feedback from communities, I think we should be taking as much cognizance of that as possible on a regular basis. So in 18 months' time, yes, maybe before that. You know, I mean, I just think it should be built into any strategies that we're doing, because if not, it becomes the world according to me, as opposed to the world according to whatever area I'm representing.
Yes, I agree with the point raised by Councillor MacLeod. I think we have to have a more formalised process for this a kind of future consultation moving forward. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. I think it's also important to note in the conclusion here at 7.1, a final draft of the strategy and action plan is coming back to this board in September 2025. So later this year, we will have the opportunity to comment on that, and I think that's useful to note. Okay, not seeing any other hands up either online or in the room. So turn to recommendations of 3.1. It is recommended that the Comhairle note the report and that the draft antisocial behaviour strategy and action plan 2024-29 would be updated to reflect the comments received through the consultation, following which the revised strategy and action plan would be circulated to partner agencies for their comments. So do we agree that the recommendations of 3.1? Okay, thank you, and thank you very much to Fiona. Okay, moving on then to item number 6, performance monitoring. Service business plans and operational risk registers, a report by the Chief Executive. This report seeks approval of the Comhairle service business plans and operational risk registers for 2025-26. The service business plans and operational risk registers are provided in appendices 2 and 3 to the report. The service plan of relevance to the board is consumer and environmental health and can be found in the assets and infrastructure SPB in appendix 2 on pages 1 to 15, and Colin Fraser is available to answer any questions. Any questions, anybody? Seen any? So in that case, the reports for noting, sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. Do members agree to agree the recommendation at 3.1? Agreed, thank you very much. And then moving on to item 7, the business continuity plan. A report by the Chief Executive. This report is for noting and provides an update on the status of the business continuity plans across the Comhairle. A business continuity plan folder containing the most recent plans is available to members on SharePoint, and again, Colin Fraser is available to answer any questions. I'm not seeing any questions. So so far as the board's interests are concerned, do members agree to note the report? Agreed. And we move on then to the final item, performance management. There are no reports outstanding in the reports outstanding section. So all that remains for me to do is to advise you that the next scheduled meeting of this committee will be on the 11th of June 2025. Thank you very much. Thank you.